Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. So this is first video on .NET 7 Web API CRUD sample. Okay, in this CRUD sample we are going to work with one-to-many relationship tables, means parent and child table. Okay, so in this first video our goal is to create the .NET 7 project, configure the Inti framework core for database communication, and set up the database context. Okay, so first let's define our parent and child table, which will have one-to-many relationship. Okay, here is my database like YouTube underscore my old DB is my database. In this, I want to create two tables. Okay, so first I am going to create a table like customer table. Okay, let me prepare a script, SQL script for my table. Okay, create table and name of your table. My table name is customer. Okay, inside of these braces, I need to specify the columns to my table. Okay, my table contains column like ID. Okay, first name, last name, phone. Okay, so these are the four columns my table contains. So let's define the data types for these columns. Okay, ID in my case it must be an integer. Okay, okay, ID will be the primary key of my table. So let's specify the primary key constraint. Constraint, okay, and name of the constraint. I will name it like PK, means primary key underscore table name. It is a convention, just a convention. Okay, I want to specify the primary key. So primary key, and in the braces, we have to specify which column to be primary key. In my case, ID is my primary key. Okay. So I want this ID value to be auto incremented whenever record is inserted. So I can apply identity on it. Okay. Identity. Okay. Our primary key never contains null value. So let's specify like not null as well. Okay. That is about my ID. Next, first name. I will specify type like varchar. Okay. I'm going to give 100 characters length. Okay. Same way last name varchar 100 characters. Okay. And phone number also be a varchar but 10. Okay. So this is my overall script for creating the SQL table, that is customer. This is my parent table. So let me prepare a script for my child table. Okay. So let me copy and paste it. So child table will be customer addresses. Okay. And child table also contains ID and identity. Okay. And primary key constraint. Okay. But here our table name is customer address, right? So just change the constraint name. So this constraint name is anything you can give. Okay. I will give it like pk underscore constraint underscore addresses. Let's add the other columns for the customer address table. Okay. So my customer address will contain city, and country. Both I want to give varchar. Okay. Let me give 50. Worker 50. Okay, to make relationship between customer table and customer addresses table, customer ID need to be saved into the customer addresses. Okay, so let's create one more column like customer ID. Okay, it will be the integer. So this customer ID is nothing but ID in the customer table. That means customer ID is a foreign key to our customer address table. So let's define foreign key constraint. Okay, constraint foreign key, I will name it like fk underscore customer underscore addresses underscore and column foreign key column customer ID. So this is the name of my foreign key constraint. Okay, now foreign key. Okay, and what is our foreign key? Customer ID, right? Specify here. This column reference to the ID in our customer table, right? So that also we have to mention. So I can reference like references, not references. Okay, customer table, name of the table, customer table, and the column, ID column. Okay, so here we are referencing this foreign key is nothing but the customer table ID. Okay, so first let's execute the customer table. Okay, customer table is created successfully. You can check in our tables. Okay, now execute the child table, customer addresses. Okay, that also executed. If I refresh my tables, see. Okay, here in the keys you can see primary key and foreign key. So we have successfully created two tables with one-to-many relationship. Now let's create a API project and using EF core and database context, let's try to implement all CRUD operation, create, read, update, delete operation for these one-to-many relationship tables. Okay, to create .NET 7 application, you must have Visual Studio 2022 or we can use .NET CLI for creating the .NET 7 application. So here I am using .NET CLI. So here is the command for creating a web API application. So command is .NET space new space web API -o means output directory. And finally name of your project. Okay. So let's create the project. So here project is successfully created. You can see here. Okay, let me open this project in Visual Studio Code. Okay, so here is my project, and if you go to this CS project file, you can see the target framework, which is .NET 7. Okay, so first let's understand default middleware and services that are configured in the program.cs file. Okay, here you can see add controller service. This is for supporting our API controllers. And if you see here, add endpoint explorer for supporting the minimum API. And add Swagger generation helps for generating the Swagger page. Okay, that's about default services. Coming to the middleware, here you can see Swagger page. And Swagger page is only enabled for the development version. Okay, and here is the middleware HTTPS redirection for redirecting the non-HTTP to HTTPS. and here is the user authorization middleware, and here is the API routing middleware. Okay, that's about default services and middlewares in our .NET 7 Web API application. Now to communicate from Web API to database, we are going to use Entity Framework Core. So to that Entity Framework Core, we should provide a connection string. Okay. So first, let's prepare the connection string. Okay. So in the app settings, I will store my connection string. So connection string. So here, give a property name for my connection string. Okay. So I will name it like my old DB connection. Okay. Here you need to paste the or add your connection string. Okay. Here I added my connection string. Connection string is just key value pair. Okay. Here you can see key like data source, nothing but our server name. Okay. And initial catalog key value should be our database. So here in my case, database name is YouTube underscore my world, right? So let me correct it. And integrated security true means Windows authentication is taken as a authentication for SQL, and connection timeout just the timeout of the connection period. Okay, like this you can prepare your connection string. Let's install the NT framework core. And if you don't know NT framework core, it is just a .NET or C# library, okay, which help to engage our application with the database. Okay, so on application side, it almost act like a database. Okay, and it is very flexible and it is very easy to write the queries against our SQL database. Okay, you can search like EF Core NuGet, and you can see a link for Microsoft.NT Framework Core NuGet. Click on it. So Visual Studio 2022 users copy the command from here, Package Manager tab. Since I am using .NET CLI, I am going to copy the command from here. Okay. Now open the terminal, paste the command and install the package. And the package is successfully installed. To check, go to CS project file and you can see the package reference. That shows package is installed successfully. Since our database is SQL, right? So we need to install one more extended package of EF Core for SQL. So such like EF Core SQL Server NuGet. Okay. So copy the Microsoft.NT Framework Core.SQL package. Okay. The package is installed. Check in CS project for reference. And you can find the reference that shows package installed successfully. Now I am going to implement the database context. First, we have to create classes for our two tables. Create a folder like data, and inside of data, create another folder like entities. So in this folder, we have to create classes that represents our table. Okay, instead of the entities, customer.cs. So class name must match with our database name, sorry, table name by convention. Okay, so this is my class. So this class must have properties that are exact match with table columns. Okay, so let's copy these columns, add them here, and let's create the properties. So ID is integer. Okay, and let's duplicate it. So let's change the column names. Okay, let's remove this and change the type of few column names. So first name must be a string, and database can have nullable values, right? So to specify the nullable property, you have to postfix your type with question mark. Okay, same way last name, its type is string and it allows nullable values, so question mark. So phone number, string, it allows nullable values, question mark. Okay, so this is my customer class that represents customer table. Let's create one more class, that is our customer addresses. Okay, customer addresses. Okay, now let's create the properties to our customer addresses class. So copy these column names and add here. Okay, public int id. Okay, now let's change the property names. Okay, remove this, and now let's change their type. City will be a string and which can be nullable. Same way country is a string, can be nullable. And here it is not country, it should be customer ID. So customer ID will be integer only, but it is a foreign key here. Okay, so now within the classes also we have to specify the relationship between them. Okay, so customer is parent and customer address is child, right? So now a customer can have multiple customer addresses. So for that, let's create a navigation property. Navigation property is nothing but it represents a relationship between two classes. Okay, so I can define a navigation property like public. So customers addresses must be collection, right? So list of customer addresses. Okay, so here we have defined that customer can have n number of customer addresses. Same way we have to specify here also navigation property, like one customer address record will contains one user only, right? So public customer, okay, single customer. Like this we have to define the navigation properties between the two classes. Okay, now let's create the database context class. Okay, so in the data folder let me create a class like, so my old DbContext. So name of the context, just take your database name. Okay, here is our my old DbContext class. So for now it is normal class. To make it as a DbContext class, we must inherit the DbContext. So colon DB context. That comes from Microsoft.NT Framework code. Okay. Now let's add the constructor. Okay. Specify DbContext options. Okay. And here type, just give your class type. Okay. So here context and pass it to the parent class, nothing but DbContext class. Okay. Base context. Okay. Okay. Here small correction. Let's give capital C context. Okay. So our class name, it's good to match with our class file name. Okay. So it is act as a database I mentioned, right? So we have to register the table. So we have already created classes, right? So if we register those classes is fine. Okay. So to register those classes, I can use public dbset and give the type of each class. Okay. Customer. Okay. So customer. This property name should match with our table names. Okay. So import the namespace. Okay. Same way, dbset customer addresses. Okay. Customer addresses. Okay. Now here we have to override the on model creating method inside of this DbContext class. Okay. So that will be protected override void on model creating. Okay. And it should contain a model builder. Okay, the reason we created this on model creating or override this on model creating is here using the EF Core Fluent API, we have to specify the foreign key and one-to-many relationship. Okay, so to do that, I can use model builder dot entity and specify the child table here because child table only contains foreign key relationship, right? So customer addresses. Okay. So these customer addresses in general, what will have as one customer, right? One customer address record will contains only one user only. So here we have a property, right, in the customer addresses table navigation property customer. That's we have to specify here. Okay. Dot with many. So from here it will take our customer table. Okay. You see here metadata, it will show customer. After the has one, here from this we are defining, okay, customer table with many customer addresses. So here has one is customer property of customer addresses and with many customer addresses is the property of our customer class. Okay. And now we have to specify it. It has a foreign key. Our customer ID. Okay. So here we defined our one-to-many relationship between the two entities. Okay. So that's all about our DbContext. Now we have to register our DbContext in program.cs file so that our DbContext can be injected using DI wherever we want in our application. Okay, so let me create here builder services dot add DbContext and specify DbContext type our my old DbContext. Okay, import the namespace, and here we have to configure few options. So options, use arrow function. So options dot use SQL server. Okay, so that loads from the Microsoft dot NT framework core. Okay, so here I need to pass my connection string. So to read the connection string from our database, sorry, app settings.json program.cs file, we can use builder.configurations.get connection string. Okay, so it will automatically reads this section, get connection string name. Okay, so now here we have to specify the root actual property name of the connection string, that is my old DbContext. Okay, so that's all. We have created .NET 7 application, installed EF Core NuGet, and created the database context. Okay, in next video we are going to implement the read operation, means we are going to create the HTTP get endpoint where we are going to fetch all the records from the customer table. Since customer table is its child address, right? The respective child records also will come in the get request. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this video delivered some useful content to you all. If you like the video, please do support me by subscribing to the channel, and please don't forget to like and share the video. Soon we are going to meet with new content. Until then, signing off.